So, welcome to lesson 78, part 1. We're just going to start a mini-series, and the title of that is True or False. And this is the opening session, and I want to talk to you about posture, and posture affects the grip. If you said to me which comes first, the chicken or the egg, well, I'm not sure, but I'm very positive that one causes the other. So it's a bit like that with the posture and the grip. Does good grip create good posture, or does good posture demand a good grip? I don't know, but I know that they work together. Those that you've been following me for quite a long time on Twitter and on this website will know that I've got a great affection for Ben Hogan and all that he's taught us, particularly with his book, The 5 Lessons or The Modern Fundamentals of Golf. Wonderful book with illustrations by Anthony Ravielli. Hogan was asked 35, 40 years after he wrote the book, is there anything he'd change? And he said no, he was happy with it all. I had the pleasure of creating a DVD called The Lost Fundamentals of Ben Hogan, really based upon the teachings in the book. And the point being, I was born in 1957, that's 61 years ago. The book was published in 1957, but in the midst of time, we've lost things along the way, or we've misinterpreted what Mr. Hogan said. However, I do believe on 2 or 3 points, Mr. Hogan did things that he wasn't aware of, or had a couple of misconceptions. So with great respect, I'm not criticising Mr. Hogan, but I am just saying that possibly there's a couple of things that weren't quite right. And one of those is posture. So, have you heard from friends or from colleagues or well-meaning people helping your golf swing, and they've told you that golf is like sitting on a shooting stick or on a bar stool? Well, it's a nice try, but it's not a great try. So let me just show you in Hogan's book where that comes from. On page 54 of Hogan's book, you can see indeed that Hogan has got a little illustration of him sitting on a bar stool. And he's making the point that a tall person is more upright and a shorter person leans forward more. Well, the fact is that's absolutely 180 degrees incorrect. Short people have the least amount to lean, and taller people have the most amount to lean. So all things being equal, a shorter person swings the club on a more upright plane. Why? Because their body angle is greater. So it's essential to appreciate that the angle of the body, or the spinal angle, which allows your posture to be good or bad, depends upon your height and your bodily proportions. The other thing is that the angle of the body at address relates to the club that you're using, of course. So with 13 long clubs in the bag, you've got a swing plane shift from driver through to sand iron that's probably around 12 or 13 degrees, 1 degree per club. So it must stand to reason, therefore, you can't have the same posture with the driver as you do for a wedge. So how do we go about that? Well, the DNA of the golf swing is actually in the club itself. So the longest club in the bag at 45 inches is my driver. Then my 6-iron, considerably shorter, the light is more upright. And the least long, or the shortest club in the bag, is my sand iron. So you can see that the plane is going to be different for each swing. But what's interesting is that the butts of the clubs don't come to the same height. I used to think they did. I used to think that the butt of the club all came to the same height. It was my boss Alex Hay that explained to me that they didn't, that the driver had the highest height of the butt of the club, the 6-iron would be in the middle of 13 long clubs, and the sand iron. So can you see the graduation there? So if I turn this way to you, you can see that when I stand up, my left arm is in this position and my posture is good. I'm not sitting on a shooting stick or a bar stool. I'm actually going to lean more than that. So here we go with the driver. I lean forward, and there is driver posture. You can see my shoulders above my hand, but I've tipped from the hip. So again, if I sit on a bar stool or a shooting stick, I think you'll see my spine was slumped. You'll know from previous sessions how strict we are about the posture being in a natural line. So from the top of my head to my coccyx, that's the natural line of the spine. I lean forward to driver, 3 wood, 5 wood, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, pitching wedge, sand iron. You can see how much the body angle changes. So there's the driver, there's the 6-iron, and there is the sand iron. So the amount that you tip from the hip, that's where you get your posture from. That's where we start off. And the driver is in the most upright posture and the flattest swing. I think that's where people get confused. They see an upright posture and they think upright swing. No, upright posture, flat swing. Inclined posture, a more upright swing. The other thing that's fascinating about the human body is that if you take somebody between 5 foot and 6'6", there's an 18-inch difference in their heights, but their fingertip measurement from the floor is a much narrower band. It's probably half of that, maybe 6 or 9 inches. So a lady at 5 foot and a big fella at 6'6", their fingertip measurement is very similar to the floor. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because we're not talking about huge amounts. Very rare to find a golf club more than an inch and a half longer than standard. Basically, most golf clubs are very close in length. However, that does have an impact upon the posture. When I offer the driver at this point and tip forward from the hip, you can see that my body angle is inclined and then I plant my feet. The 6 iron, I lean forward a bit further, and then with the sand iron, the furthest again. But if we go back to the fingertip measurement from the floor, then the shorter person doesn't lean forward very much. However, if you're much, much taller, you lean forward more, all things being equal. And again, your bodily proportion will change your posture. If you have if your legs are long and a short body, then your swing will be more upright. If you have a long body and short legs, your swing will be flatter. If you had long arms, your swing will be flatter. So there's lots of different varieties of posture, but primarily you've got to look at your physical height and then at the club that you're using. So, true or false? Is golf like sitting on a bar stool or a shooting stick? False. You can't, because that's constant. You have to appreciate you go from a normal posture upright, driver to 6 iron to wedge. Remember, the DNA of the swing is in the club itself. The way you present the club is the very thing that determines your posture.